we are taking a look at the Korean vegan. If you guys are new here, my name is Kev. I'm an editor, but I like to cover creators, just, filmmaking techniques, storytelling techniques, all that kind of good stuff. So this is the Korean vegan, and I actually found her last year, 2020, 2 years ago, 2021, on TikTok or Instagram. It was short form content, and the reason why I was so drawn to her content was she was making what looked like great food, right? And usually food videos, they do a recipe, they talk about all this stuff, but she was actually telling a story, and it was very specific about her dad. And she didn't once mention anything about the food that she was making, and I was just like in the video. I was in it. I was like listening to it, the delivery, and at the same time the filmmaking just like technically was on point. So quick backstory, this is Joanne, the Korean vegan. This is a great shot to actually use, for her. Mid-eating. She is actually a lawyer who isn't a full-time lawyer anymore. She's just doing content creation, which is wild. That's a wild thing. But she was doing photography first on like a laptop, and a laptop. Picture that. She was using the webcam on a laptop to take pictures of things to get into photography. Like one of these things. Imagine you are like learning photography and you're like bringing this around, and this is a small one. So like back in like 2009 or whenever, a little bit before that, she was using like some huge, like one of these things. These things are like seven. Imagine this in your face. Like this is crazy. I'm sweating holding all that. So she got into photography, and then in like 2010 she bought her first camera. And then in 2016, 6 years have passed, she started the Korean vegan. And 2020 is when she started doing TikTok, I believe. And everything just kind of blew up. This is one of her shorts titled Why I Chose My Dad.
This picture tells the story about how I chose my dad over my mom. I could tell when I was a little girl that my dad wasn't like other dads, not just because he was Korean. It seemed he was in his own universe. Physical affection was non-existent.
When we're watching her stuff, think about the angles that she uses from a filmmaking standpoint, but also listen to the story. It's really, really good.
And talking to him over the dinner table was a lot like trying to talk with someone with poor cell service. My little brother was afraid of him, starting when he was a baby. Daddy would make us both really anxious just by entering the room, and Jason was
God, that looks so good.
When he was little, that anxiety would often turn into tears, and I could tell it hurt my dad's feelings, even though of course Jason was just a baby and was reacting the way a normal baby would. In contrast, Jason was completely attached to my mom, who held him, cuddled him, played with him. I'd watch him show so much love for mommy and instantly feel sorry for daddy. And I decided when I was just 6 years old that since Jason was mommy's little boy, I would be daddy's little girl. Of course, I wanted to be with mommy and be her little girl, play with her just like Jason did, but I figured she already had Jason and daddy needed me. Looking back, I wouldn't change a thing.
There's so many things I love about this. One, the storytelling. Like I said before, I found her stuff through stories like this. I didn't once think about the recipe. I think visually it's almost two things going on at once. Like you love the visuals, but she's telling such a compelling story, and then she's also incorporating old school photos like this that really like cap it off. And on top of that, multiple angles, the lighting looks great, and it's just overall it's just like a nice good vibe. It's like home. It just feels like home.
My dad became a grandfather in 2018. I actually never met my paternal grandfather. He died when my dad was in junior high. In 2019, my dad told me that his father suffered from mental illness from a very young age after watching his own mother.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I know, hold on. Like, things like this in this shot, so many things are in, the foreground or the main focus within the videos. But she does a lot of set deco, which is like, the flowers in here. And like this mirror, it's like who's cooking with a mirror on the table, but like visually, and then you could kind of see her face, and it is out of focus. In terms of set design, this is amazing.
Suffered from mental illness from a very young
Look at
age
that lighting.
after watching his own mother die from poisoning herself, and that as a result, he was abusive to my dad. Once, out of nowhere, when my dad was still a little boy, grandfather refused to let him have anything to eat or drink for 3 straight days until my grandmother begged him to relent. To this day, my father still has no idea what he did to deserve what he calls his punishment. My dad is not perfect, and sometimes he is downright infuriating, but he has never laid a finger on me. He has worked his whole life to make sure I always get to eat as much as I want. And though he has raised his voice at me and called my attitude sickening at times, he has always made it abundantly clear how much he loves me. People speak of generational trauma, and I know what that means, but sometimes I think it's important to recognize those that refuse to succumb to it.
It has all the things that I know I could get from her storytelling. She's making some delicious looking food, like you want to eat it. The lighting, the changes, it's very creative and artsy. There was just at the very end, you know, you get to see the payoff. Her father, his grandchild, and like happy. And then, you know, fast forward a couple years, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this is the cake that she is making in the video. It's not the exact same cake, doesn't look like, but like in terms of putting a story together post-production, you know, let's say she did have this and she made it, but when she was telling this story, she's like, oh, I should probably make that same cake that he had at his birthday to really like complete the story. This is a 1-minute video. Understanding the value that you could get and like the stories you can put within like that short of a time frame is amazing. You're an amazing storyteller. So just things like that. Or maybe she made the cake first and then she was like, okay, well, I'm making it for his birthday, we'll bring it over and whatever. But just putting it together, the idea of putting it together, phenomenal. The one thing I love about her talking about her father so much is that there are so many people now that are kind of connected to him through her content. So you'll see things in the comment, you know, shouting out her father or just like all these like nice comments. And then what I notice is that as a creator, when you start showcasing your life and bringing other people into it, vloggers for example, you start to see that your audience starts to get connected to them as well. You know, maybe it's your brother, your best friend, your girlfriend, your husband. And she does this, but she doesn't ever really have to show him. Just by her telling these stories, people already love him, which is such a cool way to actually connect people. So we're going to take a look at one of her latest videos. It is a recipe video. This is not one where she's telling a story. It's actually just a recipe. I want to break this down because I believe it's easier for creators, new creators, to learn the technical aspects of filmmaking, like lighting, you know, doing certain things, text, just camera placement, all that stuff. Rather than, you know, me, I'm not really a good teacher on storytelling. I can enjoy a good one. So let's watch this and let's break it down.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make tofu fried rice. But before we do that, I'm also going to show you how to make one of my favorite Korean dishes, 간장 or palace tteokbokki.
Okay, so like right from, I don't know, what is this, 9 seconds, you see her making it all the way to eating it already as kind of the hook. One, with food, the hook part of it is the end product usually, because you know you want to see what it looks like first because it looks delicious and it's like, okay, teach me. But there's so many different shots, right? So she has this overhead shot, which is a classic food shot, and it's very tight. The focus is very shallow. The depth of field is very shallow. So like, look, this is out of focus, this is the same bowl, and this is out of focus. So it's really just this, but it's like perfect. I believe she only uses natural light, so she's by a window. And in her setups, I'll link 2 setup videos that she has down below. She actually just has this placed in like a bedroom. It's like a table, so it's not a kitchen. It literally is just a bedroom with a window, and she just uses natural light, and it looks amazing.
This is actually made with soy sauce, but you're going to use the same white tubular shaped.
Sorry, right here. She even uses rounded text to go with the lines of the bowl. You know, she could just do it straight, everything straight, but so little touches like that make it really nice.
Cracked black pepper, and that's just going to make them really soft. I love to.
So the coloring of the text that she uses here as well is like, you know, she has this cream colored, but also the pepper, the text goes forward and then backwards.
Tubular shaped.
Right.
Tteokbokki. You're going to
and then sesame oil is spread out. It's not together, and the sesame oil is running down through it.
A little bit of cracked black pepper, and that's just going to make them.
And then the color of the broccoli.
We're julienning a bunch of bell peppers, a little bit of.
See, oh, like even here, red onion, just on the 2 sides.
Getting those nice and cooked. Afterwards, you're going to add the marinated.
So even there, like there's a slow zoom in that she just did.
Going to add the marinated.
Right? Even something small like that.
Going to add the marinated rice cakes.
Couple of keyframes.
Soy sauce. I encourage you to taste the sauce, especially when it's reduced down a little bit.
So much visuals going on, and the way that she does the text, drizzle with on this side, and then your eyes have to follow the sesame oil while you're looking at all this goodness in the middle. She's really good at using the text.
You need to add a little bit more soy sauce or more sweetener. And then, of course, the piece de resistance. You're going to add some sesame oil and...
Like just that. It's like the movement of the sesame seeds. Like that movement. And that text is like mimicking it.
De resistance. You're going to add some sesame oil and a lot of sesame seeds.
I ordered tofu fried
All right,
rice
so now she's using a front-facing camera. Something completely different. Same video, different recipe, but now she's talking to the camera. So she has this style, but also she has that voiceover style that's very classic to her stuff. Also, her set design is amazing too. Like I said, this is not a kitchen; it's like a bedroom, and she has all this stuff in the back that just gives it this nice feel.
Restaurant. This is what we got. I think we can do better.
So can you feel my rage?
She's talking about how she got this dish from a restaurant. She didn't like it, and she's gonna do better. And the transition here, see, it closes, boom, and then her hand. So the motion of styrofoam closing and also the motion of her crushing the garlic, so good. What a transition.
So can you feel my rage?
So she has 3 different cameras. There is a front-facing camera, a top-down camera, and then a side camera, which is getting the close-up of her hands here.
That's all good. Whatever you like to eat in your fried rice, that's all good. A really good fried rice, I think, is more about methodology and less about which ingredients you
So
use.
if you guys are listening, like these recipe videos could be very fast. It could just be, if you just look up recipes, sometimes there's no talking, people just have the recipes in the step by step. But because she's such a good storyteller, she's also like, I don't know, it just seems like you're at your friend's house and you're sitting there and they're cooking for you while also teaching you, and it just seems very laid back and relaxed. This shot right here, she's moved the camera and she actually has like plants on the side. You can see in the foreground right here that it's out of focus, and like the framing on this is like perfect. You can see it like this. So good.
And rice
So
and
good.
Some sad looking asparagus. Day-old rice is because we want a rice that's a little bit dried out. That doesn't.
This shot too. So this is the same. I would assume that this is the same plant from that other angle. Looks completely different, but this right here on this side is probably where the other camera was sitting, maybe a little further back, and just getting those 2 branches to frame up whatever was on the table. This is
canvas
a masterpiece right now. I'm starving.
So now we're gonna
and I just ate. If you guys like this video, you guys should watch this one on her 86M2. Subscribe, like this video. Take it easy. Peace.